Welcome back. You are watching KTN Morning Express with me, Akisa Wandera, and we are now on to health matters. How well do you know your health? How well do you know matters to do with malnutrition and nutrition? And joining me in studio is Agnes Ducati, who is a senior nutrition officer at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Good morning, Agnes. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning.
You're well?
Yes, I'm well. And
yes,
I'm happy to be here.
Good, definitely. Thank you very much. And we also have Daniel Muhinja, who is a national nutrition specialist with World Vision Kenya. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you too.
Okay, all right. So when it comes to matters health, there's a lot of ignorance and lack of know-how on how to go about things. And just before we get into issues to do with malnutrition, just explain to us, what is this? How many people know about this and how it affects them?
I think nutrition is an issue that, in terms of national importance, has not been given the attention that it deserves, yet it actually affects our economic growth and development. And therefore, it's important actually to raise the profile of nutrition so that it is integrated into national programs, and so that the impact of good nutrition is actually felt at national level. So you find that people eat just to fill their tummies, not knowing that what they eat actually affects their health and even their general performance. So it's important for people to know that it's good to eat right so that you're healthy, because eating right makes the body healthy and you're able to actually reduce the burden of disease, because poor nutrition weakens the immune system and increases the risk of infections, and in that way we actually increase the disease burden, which also increases the amount of money that is spent on healthcare, treating diseases, and so on.
So are a lot of Kenyans aware about this?
You find that there are those who are aware and don't actually practice it, because, you know, nutrition is a lifestyle. It's a way of, it's part of your lifestyle. So, you know, food, I mean, food is tasty, isn't it? Yes. And depending on how it is prepared, or depending on what kind of foods that you're eating. So there are people who actually eat consciously, and there are those who don't eat consciously because they're ignorant of what good nutrition is all about, or they actually do not have access to good quality and adequate food.
Yes, we'll definitely talk about the access. But Daniel, there was a global nutrition report that was released not too long ago.
Yes.
Can you just give us the highlights of this report and how it relates to the Kenyan situation?
Okay, I think one commendable thing is that Kenya is on progress. And that is one of the things that globally Kenya is being praised for, because if you look like what we refer to as stunting, where you have a child too old but very short, the levels have reduced from 35% to 26%, and that is very commendable. And globally, and that report mainly looks at several elements, one of them reducing anemia, which we know is a big problem among women. It also looks at improving exclusive breastfeeding among children, and Kenya is relatively good. We are at 61% compared to other countries which are not doing very well. We are also working on obesity, and one of the targets for the global report is to ensure that obesity isn't going up in Kenya. And so relatively, we are not there yet, but is somehow, if we arrest the situation, before it becomes worse, then we should be on track. And especially also stunting being a major challenge in nutrition, Kenya relatively on average good. But then we also have pockets in Kenya where stunting is very high. And just to mention some of the counties like West Pokot, Kitui, Bomet, ranging in the range of over 40. And mainly what we're saying is if you have a child who is stunted, they will not achieve their full potential in school, in their health, and in every aspect. So we still have a lot to do as a country.
Is enough being done to ensure that these counties that you've mentioned, like West Pokot, improve their situation and just be at par with the other counties as far as stunted growth is concerned?
A lot needs to be done. Enough is not being done. And especially also when it comes to investing in nutrition. And as my colleague said, nutrition is, in fact, we have one form of malnutrition which we call hidden hunger. Hidden hunger because you don't see it, but yet our child is malnourished. So we can't say that we have invested very well. Even though we still don't have right statistics for all the counties, what we know is that there is still minimal investment in nutrition.
Right.
And if we are to have a change in the nutrition situation of children and women, then it means we need to invest more.
Even as we talk about the investment when it comes to nutrition, there's a lot of things that Kenyans do not know on how to eat, when to eat, how to eat it. And thank you very much for coming in. That makes it very timely for you. I'm seeing an array of things here on the table. Could you just explain to us just the dynamics of how to eat to just be a healthy person?
What we need to know about good nutrition is that there's no one single food that has all the nutrients that your body requires other than breast milk for an infant who is below 6 months. But for individuals above 6 months of age, you need to eat a variety of foods that contain different kinds of nutrients to provide the body with the right type of nutrients and amount of nutrients that it needs in order to perform its functions.
Right.
So basically, in teaching people about good nutrition, food has been divided into 6 groups.
All right.
Unlike what is conventionally known, the 3 groups, nowadays we teach about 6 groups. You know, I think at the time that we went to school, we were taught about 3 major food groups. That's the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the protective foods, which are the vitamins and the minerals. But now, to make nutrition easier to understand and to enable people to make choices that will enable them eat a well-balanced and healthy diet, food has been divided into 6 groups. The first group is the starch group.
Which we have right here.
What we have on the tray there, we have, like you can see, bread there. And when talking about bread, you can see we have a slice of brown bread and a slice of white bread.
All right.
Now, the difference between the two now comes about brings about the choices, making healthy choices. When food is processed, you find that some of the nutrients, very important nutrients, are lost during the processing period.
Right.
And when foods are processed, you find that the nutritional value is reduced compared to when it is whole. So when it comes to food choices, there are many types of starches that you have actually access to. On the right, we mostly have the whole and processed foods. And on the left, on my left, we have the processed foods that you'd get in the convenience, in the food convenience stores and restaurants or hotels.
All right.
Now, for the starches, what we recommend are the whole starches. Like, for example, you can see boiled bananas, matoke there. You can see a portion of ugali. You can see some boiled brown rice. You can see whole wheat bread that looks brown, not just adding color. And on the right, you can see food that is processed. And
that is what you do not recommend.
Yes, that is what we don't recommend. Most of it is prepared with a lot of fat and also sugar added. Like you can see cookies there with the sugar. You can see a piece of cake with sugar.
Pizza.
So the difference between the two is that foods that are processed, like what you see on the right, are high in calories. And when we consume a lot of those foods, you find that we end up consuming excess calories, which increases our weight and increases what we call obesity. And now obesity is a health problem of public concern because we're now seeing an increasing trend of what we call non-communicable diseases like hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and so on. So even when we're talking about malnutrition, let us not just look at undernutrition, but also there's an aspect of malnutrition that we are forgetting to address. And one of the highlights in the Global Nutrition Report that Kenya was commended for is that it has, we have put into place a national strategy for the prevention and control of obesity and non-communicable diseases.
So this was your first group of the...
Yes, this was my first group of the starches. So we have the starches. Next we have the proteins, and under the proteins we have the animal protein and the plant proteins like the beans, the dengus, and what have you. And it's important to eat a mixture of both the animal and plant proteins, because the animal proteins give us all the building blocks that we need, what we call the essential amino acids. They contain all the essential amino acids, which some of the plant proteins like the beans do not contain. But also beans have their benefits in the sense that they have fiber, which helps to reduce blood cholesterol levels, and then they're also lower than in fat compared to the animal proteins. And when we eat the animal proteins, it's important to ensure that they are low in fat. We trim off the excess fat, because remember, fat is high in calories, and you know, when we eat a lot of fat, we increase in weight, and that kind of fat is the one that increases the risk of diabetes and heart disease.
How do we do that? How do we trim off the excess fat?
It's very possible to trim off excess fat from meat, because fat is visible, you know that it's white, and you know, muscle is red, so it's very possible to trim off the excess fat just using a knife. And then for poultry and like chicken, duck, and so on, the fat is in the skin. So during preparation, remove the skin from the chicken, or if it's cooked with the skin before you eat it, remove the skin. Do not eat the skin. And then also the other thing that is important is the portions, because when we eat excess, of the proteins, the excess is stored as fat. So paying attention to portion is very important. Like when we eat chicken, we just need a piece of chicken that looks like this. This is about 60 grams of chicken, which is a chicken breast. We actually don't need like half a chicken. You go to a fast food restaurant and there's, you know, you have a choice of half a chicken or quarter chicken. That's quarter chicken, you need to eat 2 people. That is not a portion for 1 person. And then for fish, we need a portion of fish that size, what we call palm size. It can actually just fit in the palm of my hand. So that's how much fish you need. You don't need a whole fish, you know, like what is served in the restaurant. You actually need to eat, to share that fish like about 3 or 4 people. For meat, this is how much meat we need at a meal. This is about 90 grams. So when we go out for nyama choma, you know, if you order a kilo of meat, actually you need to share it among 10 people.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
A kilo of meat among 10 people. So that each person just eats about 100 grams of meat. Yeah, you don't need so much. Remember, excess will be stored as fat. You only need to increase your protein intake if you're building muscle. Otherwise, just for general maintenance, you only need a small portion of protein. And you need 2 to 3 servings in a day. So like a piece of fish at lunch, some meat for dinner. You can also have an egg for breakfast.
All right, Agnes, we are getting back to you in a few to just get more explanations on what we should eat. We're talking matters nutrition, but let's cross over to the United States and the other Democratic contender, Bernie Sanders, is just about to take the stage and give his reaction. Concede defeat, perhaps? Let's take a look.